You ever wonder what makes modern websites feel so alive? You know how pages react to you in an instant without that constant, frustrating reloading? Well, today we're going to get into the quiet little technology that makes all of that possible. And it all really boils down to one simple but super powerful idea.
I mean, you know that feeling, right? You're typing into a form and bam, an error pops up immediately. Or you click a button and the page just changes right there, right before your eyes. It can almost feel like the website is, I don't know, reading your mind or something. But it's not magic. It's actually a really clever idea that completely changed how we experience the internet.
Okay, so to really get this, you first have to understand that every single time you're on the web, there's a conversation happening. It's this constant back and forth between two totally different computers, kind of living in two different worlds.
So on one side, you've got the client, and that's you. Or to be more specific, it's your web browser. Just think of it like you're a customer in a restaurant and you're asking for the menu. Then on the other side, you have the server. This is a big, powerful computer that holds all the website stuff. That's the kitchen, you know? It's preparing and sending out your order. Every single interaction on the web starts with the client making a request.
Right, so the main thing to remember here is that the client, that's your window to the web. It's just the software, like Chrome or Firefox, that kicks off the whole conversation. It's what sends out requests for web pages, for images, for data. Basically, it's where you experience the internet.
The server, then, is the real workhorse in all of this. It's constantly listening for those requests, finding the right files, and sometimes it even has to run little programs to process information before it sends it back. But here's the thing. In the early days of the web, the server had to do all the heavy lifting, all the thinking. And that constant back and forth created a frustration I think we've all felt, that awful feeling of just waiting.
Yeah, let's talk about that frustration for a second, because we have all been there. Just imagine you're filling out a simple form online. Maybe you're signing up for a new account or something. In the old days, man, this was such a slow, painful process.
Just think about the journey your data had to take. First, you'd fill out the form, and you'd hit submit. Then that data had to travel all the way across the internet to the web server. Once it got there, a script would check it for any errors. And if it found even a tiny little mistake, like say you forgot the @ symbol in your email, the server would have to build an entirely new page from scratch and send it all the way back to you. I mean, talk about inefficient.
So yeah, that whole process, that back and forth for even the simplest checks, that was the real problem. It was this huge bottleneck that made websites feel so clunky and unresponsive. And a lot of times, people would just get fed up and leave. Clearly, there had to be a better way.
And of course, there was a better way. And it came from this really simple but totally game-changing idea. What if some of that thinking could happen right there on the user's computer inside their own browser? What if we could give the client a little bit of that brain power?
So instead of that long, slow round trip across the internet, the new process became beautifully simple. You fill out the form and a tiny little program, a script, that's running right there in your browser, checks what you typed instantly. No waiting, no reloading the whole page, just instant feedback.
And this whole approach has a name. It's called client-side scripting. And really, the name says it all, right? It's a script that runs on the client side of the conversation. What this does is it takes the workload off of that busy, often overloaded server and puts it onto the user's computer, which usually has plenty of power to spare. And the result? The entire web gets faster for everyone.
Okay, so what's the magic ingredient here? What language makes this all possible? Well, a few have been tried over the years, but one programming language became the undisputed star of client-side scripting.
And that language is JavaScript. It became a standard really because it was eventually built into pretty much every single web browser out there. And that was huge. It meant developers could write one piece of code and be pretty confident that it would just work for almost any user on any computer. You see, JavaScript is what gives modern websites that interactive feeling. It's the thing that's constantly listening for your mouse clicks, for your key presses. It's what validates your forms right away. And probably most powerfully, it has this amazing ability to dynamically change any part of a web page, the content, the style, anything, without ever having to go back and ask the server for a whole new page. And this shift, going from the server doing everything to this new partnership between the client and the server, this wasn't just some small improvement. It completely changed our entire relationship with the web.
I think this really captures the transformation perfectly. The web went from being just a collection of static documents that you'd read, kind of like pages in a book, to something else entirely.
With client-side scripting, websites started to act and feel like real applications. Responsive, dynamic, and genuinely interactive.
So the next time you're on a web page and it just responds instantly, when it feels fast and intuitive and helpful, you'll know what's going on. It's not magic, and it's not reading your mind. It's just a little script working quietly, right there on your side.